a show going back to 1983, I think.
That's right, 1983.
And we've got Jas N Smith here.
Good morning.
As well as Carol Palmer. And it's called Aloha China.
Aloha China.
And it was in the archives, and we're pulling it out to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
And it is the perfect blend of both.
Indeed. You have a great radio voice, Jason. Did you come from radio?
I did radio back at Mississippi State.
There you go.
Years ago.
Well, Carol, you and I had the great fun of joining. I came out to your house this past Thursday, I think it was. But through Jason's recommendation and suggestion, you and I cooked a couple of recipes from a book, which is a companion cookbook to the TV show.
Yes.
The book also entitled Aloha China.
Yes.
Written by
Titus Chan, who is the host of our show, and he included a bunch of recipes and that he made on the show, and then expanded on some that he didn't include in the show. And so it was just a way for people who like the show to also then get to try out some of his stuff.
You know, it was just amazing to learn more about him, because those were really the early days of cooking shows. And that was back in the era, really, public broadcasting led the way in cooking shows with Julia Child's show, and then the Galloping Gourmet, and Titus Chan. Oh, you know, what a star. Malcolm, after you left the other day, I sat down and was really reading about him. And this guy just had an amazing life. I mean, he grew up in Hong Kong. I mean, in Guangzhou, went to college in Hong Kong, came to San Francisco, and ended up in all places, Searcy, Arkansas.
Wow.
At Harding College.
Isn't that where some of Hemingway's family was from? Searcy, Arkansas?
I think it was. And then got a master's degree in education at Abilene Christian. And so he was a teacher. In fact, in Hawaii was named once Teacher of the Year. But it's just so fascinating to me that he that MPB, which was then Mississippi Educational Television, went to Hawaii and did this show.
Right. Yeah, we'll dig in deeper as to why MPB is related to Aloha China. But, Carol, let's tell our listeners and tell Jason what happened after he suggested that we cook a couple of recipes from Titus Chan's book.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear. I want to hear.
Yeah, well, it was, first of all, Malcolm, it was a great experience, because it was just like the old days when we used to cook together a lot.
It was a lot of fun.
I know. So Malcolm went to the Chinese grocery store.
That's right.
And headed out to the boondocks where I live.
I went to Mr. Chin's.
Great.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have that place in Jackson. But we wanted to do some kind of old school recipes that of course were in Chinese restaurants of that time.
Right.
And we did Mongolian beef, and then we did,
Classic.
Of course, we had to do a Kung Pao chicken.
That's right. And remember, these recipes were written in and around 1983.
Yes.
Yes. So, the ingredients were somewhat different. It was, early in the days when people were just finding out things in the U.S. about bamboo shoots. The few Chinese ingredients you could get were bamboo shoots in the can and soy sauce, and not much else.
Right.
But we had an absolute ball doing this, and what I loved about it is I love the way Malcolm cooks. We were making the Kung Pao chicken, which, we had to cut up pieces of chicken. We had to make a marinade with soy sauce and egg white and cornstarch. Malcolm cut up all the vegetables. And so with Chinese cooking, you prep everything and then you cook it quickly in a wok.
Right. And Carol, before we get into the cooking process, I wanted to sort of share my experience at Mr. Chin's. Mr. Chin's is a supermarket and a massive supermarket on I-55 North, and a restaurant. So under one roof.
I'm a frequent flyer.
Okay, good. It's a restaurant and a huge supermarket. So they don't open until 10. I would have not guessed that. I drove out there about 8:30 thinking grocery stores are open. But this place is very unique. Opened at 10 o'clock, and there was a swarm of women who shop, obviously, together every morning. I mean, a swarm. And they took over the place. And I was sort of wandering around aimlessly trying to find Carol had given me a list of rice noodles, vermicelli, bean sprouts, bamboo shoot.
Bean sauce.
Yeah, bean sauce. And I could find some of it, and some of it I could not find. But I spent quite a bit of my morning traipsing about Mr. Chen's looking for all these things.
Right.
And lo and behold, I ended up not getting the right noodles, which Carol will explain in a minute. But it was a delightful experience. And I was asking everybody for advice and for guidance, and some of them spoke English and some of them didn't. So it was quite an experience. So anyway, I finally arrive at Carol's with a bag of groceries directly from Mr. Chen's.
Yeah, and so we prep and we laugh and we're having fun and we get all the ingredients together for the stir fry, and then Malcolm, we have 20 condiments lined up. I pulled out every Chinese or Oriental, Korean, Vietnamese condiment I had, and they were all lined up on the counter. And Malcolm looks at me and he said, "Now, let's put some stuff in there." He had just been taste testing all the condiments.
Right. So, I did. I taste tested each and every condiment.
Right. Okay,
And
you gotta know.
And then we got everything prepped. And anyway,
but
so
that's so like you cook. You taste
yeah.
the food,
I was like, let's throw some
and
stuff
then you
in
say,
here.
Let's put some stuff in here.
Yeah, it was great. But first, we followed the recipe.
Okay.
We stuck to the recipe, which I don't ever do. And we cooked both dishes. I'll say first that the Mongolian beef, we used a piece of meat that we had gotten from Home Pasture up in Como from a guest we'd had on the show before. They brought us a lot of meat, and Carol very wisely froze. Carol, what cut of beef was that? Was it a sirloin? What was it?
It was a flank steak,
Flank
or
steak.
they call it a bavette.
Gotcha.
It's a thin, very thin piece of meat used in like making fajitas, or we cut the Mongolian beef very, very thin pieces into strips. But it was special that it was from our Mississippi purveyor.
And the truth is, on the first dish, we didn't get the wok hot enough.
Okay.
It said medium high, so we put it on medium high. It's not hot enough. So we had to go as we learned, as we moved forward through these recipes, we turned her up high, wide open, and that was what we needed. So Carol, on the Mongolian beef, we thought that it was interesting, fun to make, but we didn't think it was very spirited with the seasoning. Would you agree with that, Carol? It was kind of lacking in the oomph. Yeah,
so you oomphed it up.
Yeah, so we added some things. We had some hot chili stuff. We had some of that Mississippi sauce. So we
gave it a little zest.
It was a grand experience. And today I'm making a really old school dish, egg foo young. I mean, egg foo young was so big. It was huge. Back in those days, you never see it on a Chinese menu. From what I understand, it was totally an American creation. But I'm doing it today in your honor, Malcolm, since we didn't have time. And I hate having to sign off from you guys, but thanks for letting me just drop in this morning.
Well, we're glad you joined us. And
I just wanted to, thank MPB for replaying the show tonight and giving us the opportunity to learn about it, because that's what makes Deep South Dining fun for us.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Carol Palmer will check out. She's on Zoom, and she can come and go as she pleases if she wants to rejoin us. But we also cooked the kung pao chicken, which was a lot of fun. We sort of briefly marinated the chicken after we cut it up. They recommended you could marinate it longer or shorter. On both dishes, actually. But anyway, it was really good. We made some rice to serve that over. But we made noodles, and I was going to get Carol to talk about those noodles. I got 2 different kinds of noodles, and lo and behold, neither one of them were the right one. She wanted the kind that, as she said, that you fry and they poof up.
Okay.
And we threw in our noodles in this oil. They did not poof.
No poofing.
So we ended up boiling them like you would pasta.
Okay.
And served them with the beef, but no poofing, no show.
Right.
We thought we were going to really get that thing
some
going.
flair.
Okay, so we did that, and Jason, stay with me. We're going to get deeper and deeper into MPB's rebroadcast from the archives of the Aloha China show. But a couple of things I just wanted to blow through here. On Saturday night, it was my granddaughter's 9th birthday, and so we all loaded up, and we drove out to Bolton, Mississippi, to a relatively new place called TCB Town Steakhouse in Bolton. It's open only on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and Thursday and Friday for lunch. It is owned and operated by family members of ours. And this was our first time to go out. It was great to get together because a lot of the family went out and we got to celebrate.
And I'm assuming TCB, we're talking Elvis.
Exactly. TCB is taking care of business.
Right.
They also own a company called Taking Care of Biscuits. It's a breakfast catering company that features these biscuits and gravy called Taking Care of Biscuits. So they got Taking Care of Biscuits, and they got Taking Care of Bolton, which is the restaurant.
Nice play.
So TCB all the way around. So anyway, we had a great time out there, and steaks, seafood, delicious meal. If you're looking for something new, if you want a road trip, you want to go out to Bolton downtown and eat a good meal, that is a good one
and
for you.
that's a trip, but it's not like you have to plan for it.
That's right. It's not a bad drive out there and back. Also, I stumbled across a new restaurant for me called Kenova Smokehouse, Kenova, Kenova Smokehouse.
Okay.
It's a barbecue place.
Love a barbecue.
With 2 locations, one in Flowood on Grants Ferry Road, and the other one also in Flowood on Top Street behind Schlotsky's on Lakeland. They have 2 locations. They also have a burger place called Foundation Burger. So this is a family-owned and operated restaurant. They are led by classically chef-trained Kendall Adkins. And Marissa, we're going to get them on. I'm going to share all this info with you. Love to get them to come on and talk. But what I like so much about what they serve, they serve a variety of barbecue styles. They have Texas brisket. They have Kansas City ribs. They have Memphis pulled pork and Mississippi sausages.
Yes.
So I like that. I like that they identify these barbecue
Regional
styles. Because I'm always asking people come on the show, does Mississippi have a barbecue style? And so I can't wait to get Chef Kendall Atkins on the show to talk about that. And one other thing before we take a break, we are planning on having Chef Guillermo Salinas from Just Vanilla. I know, Marissa, you've been in touch with Chef, right? And so soon we'll have from Just Vanilla Bake Shop, Guillermo Salinas, the chef there, pastry chef, come on and tell us all about that. So anyway, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will dig a little deeper into the Aloha China, Mississippi MPB's culinary classic from the archives with Jas N Smith. And we'll have more about that. And also special guests joining us shortly thereafter for those of you who go back to the 1980s and Chinese restaurants in Jackson. Wilson Wong will be joining us on the phone. So excited to hear from him. But we'll be right back with more Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hello, I'm Desiree Frazier, host of the award-winning news program, Mississippi Edition. We bring you conversations about the latest news from across the Magnolia State. Whether it's politics, healthcare, or education, you'll hear in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. So join us each weekday morning at 8:30 on MPB Think Radio, or download the podcast, listen through the app, and online.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White with Carol Palmer and other guests. May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and to celebrate, MPB TV is airing a special presentation of Aloha China on Tuesday, May 13. Before we welcome our guest who we have here in the studio with us, we're going to play a clip from that archive, from that TV show, Aloha China, and let you listen to a little bit of what it sounded like in 1983.
Hi, I'm Titus Chen, inviting you to stay on with us.
Coming in May from the MPB archive, Aloha China with Titus Chan. This groundbreaking cooking show was produced by MPB in 1984 and brought Chinese cuisine and Hawaiian flavor to national audiences. Don't miss this tasty slice of culinary and television history. Tuesday at 10, only on MPB Television. MPB, your stories, our mission.
And there you have it. It's a beautiful thing. So Jas N Smith is here, you're the Director of Communication?
I'm the marketing manager for MPB.
And he obviously has a radio background.
And I did lots of radio.
So before we get into talking about Aloha China, your name is spelled Jas N Smith, but
That's
it's
right.
pronounced Jas N Smith. Can you explain a little bit about, you've had me stumped here
Well,
with your name.
I went to school with 3 other Jas N Smiths. There are so many Jas N Smiths wandering the face of the earth, and a bunch of them found their way to Mississippi. So when I was a freshman at Mississippi State in about 1993, in order to differentiate, I started spelling it Jas N, and then I've been using it ever since.
So it's not a name your parents gave you; it's a name that you made up.
Yeah, I took it and ran with it, and was like, I gotta
like
get
it.
And it's worked. You know, people see that in the list, and they're like, oh, I know that guy.
You're right. All right. Well, anyway, we gotten that cleared up. That's an important thing. So also joining us, Eddie Bunkley, right?
Yes, sir. Eddie Bunkley.
Bunkley. Eddie was actually a part of this, right,
yes,
Jason?
Yes. When I started to dig into, we knew we were going to bring Aloha China back on as part of the MPB archive, and it's kind of a weird thing for us to have the Chinese cooking show from Mississippi filmed in Hawaii.
Very weird.
And somebody mentioned that part of the crew that we sent out to Hawaii still worked here. And I was like, what? And that was Eddie. And so Eddie has been with MPB since 1975?
76. November 76.
And Eddie's hair looks a little different in these
Oh,
photographs.
Yeah.
It does. Of
Quite a
course.
bit.
So tell us how this happened. How did it come to be that MPB TV went to Hawaii and filmed, an Asian American cooking show of all things?
Well, Titus Chan, the host of the show, had previous PBS shows, national PBS shows, and wanted to do another one, wanted to base it in Hawaii, where he was living, as kind of a bridge between China and America. But in order to produce the show, it was expensive to hire a crew to come out to Hawaii. The crews on the island were super expensive.
Right.
Crews in California would be super expensive. But MPB was doing a lot of production then, and so he approached MPB and said, hey, if you guys will come help foot the cost of the production, then you guys can have the rights to distribute it through the national PBS stuff, and then I'm going to take it and have the rights to shop it elsewhere outside of that market. And so Eddie and I think 6 other folks packed up and took containers full of equipment and went over to Hawaii and filmed for a month. Right, Eddie?
Yeah, yes, we did.
Eddie, who was the director of
The director,
MPB
Ed
back?
Van Cleef, was the producer-director. And if he had just listened, he could probably come in and tell you everything about the contract situation. I was a relative newbie to television. I'd only been into business 7 years then. So it was we started shooting in October of '83, and had 42, I think, if my memory serves right. And then, like I say, this was '83. It's been quite a few years ago, so don't take everything I have as gospel. It's just as I remember it, tinged with age. So we flew to Honolulu with our 42 crates, and the initial idea was we would shoot for a month in Honolulu, and then go from Honolulu to Taiwan and shoot for a month there, and then go to China, mainland China, and I don't know what city there, probably would have been Hong Kong or something, that we would have shot for a month there. But the money didn't come through for those further trips, so we just stuck with the Honolulu package. And like I say, if I get too long-winded, just kick in and find out any particular thing you want to know.
How many episodes actually got filmed and aired?
They did one season, and from what I understand, they filmed multiple episodes each day, or filmed multiple segments each day. And so
I can't tell you exactly how many programs there were, because, like I say, we built a series for PBS, and we took those same programs and chopped them up, put commercial slugs in them, so that Titus could shop them, mostly in Hawaii. But I don't know how much he sold outside of Hawaii after that.
Yeah. So Titus was not only a chef, but he was a teacher. And was this filmed at the university or at his? Did he have a restaurant or what?
I don't know if he had a restaurant. He was just a personality. He was a real likable guy. We never heard say that he had a restaurant. We shot a lot of location footage the first 10 days or so.
Just like B-roll of Hawaii.
It was B-roll. It was also location shooting at restaurants.
Okay, at restaurants.
Showing some restaurants making dishes. We went to one place that specialized in noodles. We shot that. We went to a community center where they were having a Chinese music kind of festival there.
Okay.
It's the first time I ever listened to Chinese music. I was mixing it, which was kind of odd. So I took a lot of time taking my headphones off and asking people to listen, say, does this sound like what it's supposed to sound like, because I had never mixed Chinese music before. But they were pleased. The people that were working with the band, which there was a Chinese dulcimer and a stand-up bass kind of instrument, and another stringed instrument, and they didn't have much voice. They were just
mostly
playing stringed
instruments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The odd instruments that I had no idea what their tonality was supposed to be, but I was mixing them, trying to balance them to make them sound on tape like they sounded live.
They filmed in a private residence in a home that had a huge bunch of bay windows overlooking Diamond Head. And so they filmed in the kitchen of that home.
Yeah, it's on the second floor. They had a lanai that surrounded the second floor. We would call it a porch here.
Right.
But it was surrounded by glass. We had, I mentioned, before we get too far, I want to mention the other people in the crew.
Sure.
Ed Van Cleef was the producer-director. Stanley Graham was the lighting director / we all had multiple jobs. Not only did Stanley do lighting directing, he also logged which programs were on which tape, what time code, what shots were on which tapes, and kept track of that for editing in the future. And we had myself doing technical stuff. We had Mr. Chris McGuire, who did a combination of videography and lighting. He's the guy, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the other pictures, but he was the guy that's sitting in the floor shooting up into the mirror. We had a big Pine-Lar mirror hanging over the cooking scene, and he was shooting through it, seeing the dishes on top of the stove and on the work area.
Right.
We had Mr. Chris Rogers, another videographer, who also helped with lighting and with food preparation and display and all kind of stuff. And Mr. Glenroy Smith, who was not only the videographer, but his main chore outside of videography was food preparation along with Titus, because it just took all of us doing multiple jobs to get the task done. And we stayed in 3 hotels during the period. The first hotel we stayed at was the Pagoda. I'll pause and let you ask a question or redirect from my...
Yeah. Well, they had a full studio's worth of gear stuffed into this kitchen and then the garage, and turned this house into a production studio.
Yeah.
The house was owned by an airline family. The owner, the husband of the family, was a pilot, and his wife had been a stewardess, flight attendant, and she was, they both had pretty good rank with their company, and they were great friends with Titus and had volunteered at home, and it was a wonderful place to do it, and we overlooking Diamond Head. You could see Diamond Head through one of their kitchen windows out back, and it was a big challenge in lighting. Another thing I want to mention is that we also had a set designer that used to work here at Mississippi Public Broadcasting. He had gone by the time I started in '76, and I cannot remember his last name. His first name was Hiram, and he had retired to Hawaii and was still doing some work
so he
there.
was there.
He was there. So he built a big Oriental archway to put in there to make it look more like an Oriental kitchen or an Oriental restaurant.
Right.
And did some other highlight stuff around for the set design.
Well, did you guys get to eat any of the food?
We did. That was one of our staples. We were fed by the hotel in the morning and in the evening, and usually during the day for lunch we would have whatever Titus had prepared.
Whatever Titus cooked.
Unless it was expensive. It was an expensive dish.
No lobster.
He took that, no lobster, no high grade, real high priced beef or anything like that. He would take that and share it with his friends at a party. And he was a garrulous fella. He was talking to anybody about anything, and he was real easygoing, and he was marketing his own products and all that stuff all the time. He was a great guy to know, and
culinary entrepreneur.
Exactly. He was apparently quite a hustler too, coming up with different angles.
And a comedian. He had,
really?
I got to share at least one joke that he told. He said, one of the shows, he says, man who bald in front is a thinker, and the man who bald in back is a lover. Man who bald on top think he is a lover. That's one of Titus' jokes. And of course, I couldn't deliver it with his accent and timing.
No, it was good. It was good. So, Jason, tell us, our listeners, once again, why we're talking about this and how they can enjoy the fruits of all of this.
Sure. Well, like I said, it is part of the MPB archive, and that is a program that we are working on right now. And we just got another grant to digitize more of MPB's library of programming over the 50-plus years that we've been doing, TV production, educational television here in Mississippi. And so each month we are featuring a different program. This month being Asian American Pacific Islander Cultural Heritage Month, we are featuring Aloha China. Next month will be Clyde Frog, and then we've got a couple of other series coming that people will know about. I think around Christmas we'll have a Burl Ives thing that he did with us.
I love the Burl Ives.
Yeah, so there's all this rich cultural heritage here at MPB that we've had over the years, so we want to feature it. And so you can go online right now and see some of the past episodes on the archives page of a show called The Magic Place that we did, and a few others. After the show airs Tuesday, May 13th. And after it airs, we'll have more episodes available online that people can watch and stream. And
so only one episode will be aired.
One episode will be broadcast on air. The rest you can watch online. And but this is something that I think it's important that people, everybody in Mississippi can take pride in the fact that your tax dollars helped fund MPB, helped fund the creation of this program and all of our other programs that we've done. It is something that gives you real value, that you can say, look, I was a part of that. I helped make that happen. And we're bringing this back to you so you can enjoy it. Because what's the good of having some great program if it's stuffed in a closet somewhere and nobody can watch it?
Well, we're glad that y'all are digging into the archives and sharing this with us. Again, the show Aloha China will be broadcast on May the 13th at 10 p.m.
10 p.m., yes.
And then from there you can download and watch other episodes if you'd like to. Mm-hmm. All right, we want to thank Jas N Smith for coming in and sharing with us. For Eddie Bunkley. Eddie, thank you for sharing your past experience. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say about the program or the show? Is the cookbook still available?
The cookbook is not available. I had to go on eBay and find that.
Is that where you found it?
I did. I went and hunted it up.
So Carol has a copy, and no one else we know has one.
So. Eddie's in the book. They list the thank yous there. Eddie's one of the people in the book. But yeah, it's not available anymore, but it's just, a lot of fun, and we hope that people will enjoy it. And reach out to us. If there's a program that MPB did that you remember fondly and you want to see again, we're open to ideas and suggestions. We've got a big catalog.
Great. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Remember that we are live streaming. If you would like to see what Eddie and Jason look like, you can live stream them.
I'm wearing my fancy Hawaiian shirt.
That's right.
The gift from my fiance.
You're in costume. I'm out of costume. Marissa's in costume, but she's off camera. So there you have it. When we come back, we're going to talk to our old buddy Wilson Wong, whose family owned House of Wong here in the 1980s in Jackson. And he's going to tell us a little bit about growing up in the kitchen and in the restaurant business in Jackson, and looking forward to that. So we'll be right back with more Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, We are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White here. Carol Palmer is away this morning, but luckily and fortunately joined us via Zoom earlier to talk about our cooking experience as it related to Aloha China cookbook and TV series once aired on National Public TV and on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Had a big time talking about that, but we thought, hey, let's go to the source. Let's go to someone who really remembers the 1980s in Jackson and the Chinese restaurant business. And I thought about my old friend, Carol's old friend, Wilson Wong, Lance Romance, a.k.a. Lance Romance. Wilson, what's up, man?
Hey, Malcolm, how are you?
Man, it's great to hear from you.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm missing Carol, though. But,
yeah, she had to.
I said hello.
I'll certainly do that. So where are you living now?
I am in Atlanta.
Okay, in the big city.
In the big city, right.
So we wanted to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's a rainy day here, but
I can actually hear it.
It's going to bring a lot. Yeah, but visiting with you is going to be a nice ray of sunshine. So there you go.
Well, tell us about House of Wong and your growing up in Jackson and I know y'all started out on, if I have it right, out on Highway 80.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
What year?
The House of Wong opened up in 1976.
Okay.
And it went well beyond the 2000 mark. But my years in Jackson with the family business was from 1976 to 2000. To give you a little bit of context, before we opened it up in '76, I was living in Atlanta. I went to Georgia Tech here in Atlanta, and then post graduation, I went into my vagabond stage, in which I worked 3 months in a restaurant to save the money so that I could spend it on vagabonding through Europe with a backpack. So I did that for 4 years, and in the meantime, I had built up a lot of experience in the restaurant business. And even became head waiter, so I got some management skills there.
Right.
And so when I came back after 4 years, I needed to go on with my life, and I decided that I wanted to be an A&R guy for Columbia Records. But my father wanted to open up a restaurant because his brother, Henry, had already opened a How Joy in Greenville, which was, I believe, the first Chinese restaurant in
the state. Yeah, I think you're right. Uh-huh.
And and I think that was in 1968, when How Joy opened up. It was a little small takeout place.
Okay.
In 7 years, he had, the business had grown, and he moved into a bigger place. It just became huge operation. But in '76, my father, who always wanted to run a restaurant, you know, he had the culinary skills, and he talked me into coming back to Mississippi, and I said, okay, I'll give you a year. But he wanted me for my architectural design skills that I had learned in college, and also for my restaurant experiences. So I gave him. I said, okay, after a year, after get it all established, then I'm going to go on with my life. And he said, fine. And so within the first year, and it was fun. It was great. I got to hang out with the family, work with my family, and made a lot of great friends, met a lot of people. But within that first year, almost a year, my father died suddenly from health, from medical reasons, and being the oldest son, I decided to stay on, and so I ended up staying for 14 years.
Wow.
Until 2000.
Now, y'all were on Highway 80 when you first opened, and somewhere along the line, y'all moved to North Jackson, right? When was that?
That was in about 1998 or 99. 1999, I think.
Uh-huh.
Right before I left. We decided that we wanted another restaurant, because a lot of people were coming from North Jackson to South Jackson, where we were. So we decided, we had enough family members to do that. So we did.
So you had two restaurants.
We had two restaurants.
Kept the one on 80 and now the one in North Jackson.
Right. And they're both closed now, obviously.
What years did they close, Wilson?
I think the one in South was in, let's see, 2002, I think.
2002,
like that.
Okay.
2003. I left in 2000, and the North one stayed open till, I don't know, 2005 or 6 or something like that.
Talk a little bit about how Chinese, Asian cuisine, particularly in restaurants and public eateries, has changed since your time to now. There seems to be an incredible explosion of both traditional and non-traditional fusion, Asian American fusion, maybe even in your case, talk a little bit about Asian Southern fusion.
Yeah. The challenge we had when we opened up in '76 was that it was, I think, we were either the first or the second. I don't know which one we were, but it was pretty close. But Jackson, Mississippi, had never experienced Chinese food before. We have been eating all our lives. So the challenge was being able to put out food that people were familiar with, or they could relate with, that wasn't too odd.
Right.
Right. So we had to balance it between being a chop suey house and having exquisite Cantonese cuisine.
Uh-huh.
So that was the challenge. So we had to put a little bit of both in there. We had to have the egg foo young in there.
Of course.
And but we also started doing other things that other restaurants didn't have at that time. At that time, we were steaming fish. So that was the challenge and what we had to deal with. We had to cater to some of the Southern taste, but we also wanted to put out dishes that would give a dining experience, a new dining experience for everybody. Mm. And the explosion came much later, much later. Like today, when I moved to Atlanta in 1968 to go to college, there was only one Chinese restaurant in town in Atlanta, and now it's exploded to, gosh, there's so many Asian restaurants now, and the Chinese restaurants have gone from Cantonese to Sichuan and Hunan and just different Taiwanese and just different types of Chinese restaurants. And there are food markets like you were talking about, Mr. Chin's.
Right.
There's plenty of those around in Atlanta now. So it's really grown to where I really enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I cook a little bit of Chinese food at home. I still cook a lot, and but usually I go out because I was doing that for business for such a long time.
Right.
And I wanted somebody else's cooking. Sure. But what I do is that I cook a lot of other different cuisines like Italian and French and, things like that.
We got a few minutes left here, Wilson. Carol has rejoined us. Y'all say hello. Hello, Carol.
Hey,
yeah, I just wanted to jump on Wilson and say hello. And Malcolm and I had so much fun the other day reliving memories of House of Wong and all that your family did to help give us a rich and diverse community at the time.
Thank you. It was our pleasure. As a matter of fact, those years I spent in Jackson was one of the best times I had in my life. I really made some great friends over there. The House of Wong was like Cheers, except it was a local pub, except instead of serving alcohol, we served Chinese food.
Wilson, I was thinking when I moved here in late 78, early 79, the House of Wong was the place, along with places like Poets and George Street, and Latham's, Scrooge's, and this, that, and the other. But we were a small knit group of restaurant people, and we all hung tight and became great friends. And but House of Wong was very much a part of the fabric of the life that I moved here to live. Michael Rubenstein, Fred Knobloch, and you guys, and Bebop, and all of that. That was my world.
Yeah, that was my world too. That was fun. It was just fun.
And Wilson, you are a true Chinese American. Your origin story is what? Were you born on a ship?
Yeah, I was conceived in China, born at sea, and raised in Mississippi.
Wow, there's a song there.
Yeah. And what was the name of the ship?
It was a SS President Wilson, and they named me after the ship because I was the first baby born on it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is too much.
Well, Mississippi
I was born out of country.
Yeah. Well, you're a man of all seasons and all countries, but the contribution of the Chinese community to the life of Mississippi, we can do a whole show, Malcolm, on the Chinese grocery stores that there's still a few every small town in the Delta had a Chinese grocery store. And your family ran one, right, Wilson?
Correct. In Drew.
Wow. And then Haljoy, we were talking about earlier, Carol. Haljoy opened around 68 in Greenville.
Yeah, the summer of 68. As a matter of fact, I'm writing, I'm about 65-70% done on this. I'm writing a family history of that talks about how we ended up in Mississippi.
Oh, man.
Which is an interesting story.
Well, when you get it to a place you're comfortable with it, let's get you back on the show. Let's do a full 45-minute interview with Wilson and talk about the upcoming book and his family and your experience. It's quite a story, and we're grateful to be reconnected here, my man.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm about to go out to a Chinese restaurant and get some dim sum in about an hour. So I have an idea. Why don't you guys come over and have dim sum with us?
I like it.
Oh man, that would be great. That is one of my favorite things. That many years ago, the only place you could really get dim sum was San Francisco and New York.
Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, but you still can't get dim sum in Jackson, can you?
No, but at Mr. Chen's you can buy some high quality frozen dim sum pieces. But Malcolm, maybe that'll be our next cooking adventure.
Yes, maybe we should.
Yeah, why don't you, if you like, we can go to the one, my favorite restaurant, Chinese restaurant, and I can talk to them and you can do a show there if you want to.
That'd be great.
And what restaurant is that?
The name of it is Canton House.
Okay. Cool.
We've been going to them for about over 10 years, and they just opened up a new one. The next generation is taking it over, and it's a big banquet house that also serves dim sum all day long.
Wow. I do love some dim sum now.
Oh, yeah.
Wilson, thanks a million for joining us. Carol, thank you for jumping in and out.
You're welcome, and just want everybody to tune in tonight at 10 for Aloha China.
That's tomorrow, actually. If I have
Is it tomorrow?
The 13th, I believe, is when they air.
The 13th, okay.
Yeah, at 10 p.m. But do that. And Wilson, thank you for joining us. And I'm reminding everyone,
welcome.
Deep South Dining is a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio, and we are funded by the generous contributions from listeners like yourself. Our show is produced by Marissa Vaughn. For our very special guests, Jas N Smith, Wilson Wong, and my co-host Carol Palmer. And let's not forget Eddie Bunkley from MPB Production, who joined us there for a brief while. Now stay tuned for Everyday Tech at 10 and Southern Remedy at 11. And don't forget to tune in to MPB TV Tuesday, May 13th to watch Aloha China.